Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. John Hirschbeck here with us, an umpire for several decades in Major League Baseball. John, nice to meet you. How are you?
Good, DJ. It's nice to be here.
How about that World Series last night? Dodgers win for the first time in 30 years.
I remember the last one. I remember the last one. I was a young umpire then, but I can remember my wife and I sitting in the family room, and when Kirk Gibson came up, I said, okay, there's no way, because the whole thing was, I guess he had a home run, whatever. And I was just, to this day, I remember that. I mean, vividly.
Isn't it crazy that it took over 30 years from that moment for the Dodgers to win again?
It's something. They've had a lot of good teams in between. I'm happy for Dave Roberts. He's always been a good friend of mine, as well as Kevin Cash. But somebody had to win. But they're two good guys.
When did you first meet Dave Roberts?
When he came up for the Indians. I don't know what year it was, but then all through his career, and then he started coaching. And I remember he was a bench coach for Bud Black in San Diego. He always used to bring the lineup cards up, and we'd kid around, and I'd say, someday you're definitely gonna be a major league manager. And he goes, all right, Hirsch, yeah, I know. It's one of these days, maybe. I said, no, you are gonna be, I promise. Well, that game, I happened to end up throwing Bud Black out of the game.
Oh wow!
So Roberts comes up later with the cards for a change. I said, see, I told you you're gonna be a manager.
Just a little bit sooner than you.
Just sooner than, yeah. And I helped you. He goes, get the heck. Something I wouldn't say on the radio, but he turned around and walked away. We laughed.
Well, it also speaks to the fact that it takes time to build things out. I mean, Dave Roberts had fallen a little bit short each year in LA, and he was ultimately the right man for the job. But John, some other franchises may have let him go. So what was it like just to see the Dodgers keep him and let him grow the team the way that he wanted to?
I'm just happy for him as a friend, as a person, as a manager. The only thing is, when I got up this morning, I said, you know what? He's one of the guys, I don't have his number, and I'd love to be able to give him a call in, a couple of days, let it wear off a bit and say congratulations.
Well, the cool thing about your story is that you've interacted with so many amazing people in Major League Baseball. Why don't we wind it back? How did you even get going as an umpire, and what made you want to pursue that as a career?
I was a kid. I was a senior in high school and needed money to go to my prom. So a guy in town, I grew up in Connecticut, Stratford. Guy said, well, if you umpire Little League Baseball, will pay you $5 a game. This was 1972. So I'm like, all right, I'll try it. And I hadn't really played baseball since I was 12. And I loved it, did it and loved it. And as I got into college, I took the test to do high school ball and under. Just liked it more and more each year. And then finally, about my junior year, I said, how do they ever get to do it at the major league level? There has to be, where do these guys come from? So I found out about umpire school, and I went in 76. My senior year of college, and finished second in my class and went to the Florida State League that year. So spent 7 years in the minors and went to the big leagues in 83, kind of part-time, and then full-time in 84.
Was there a moment during that 7-year journey in the minors where you were just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to the bigs. What was that like for you?
I never thought that I couldn't do it. My career went pretty well as far as advancement. But it's just that, will I ever? But I was single, and, I just, it's what I really want to do. It's just something that I always loved. God works in strange ways, but, happened upon it and just loved doing it. And I had a great time through the minors. Had a lot of fun. Working in the winter was tough. I did all kind of jobs.
Yeah.
I remember, I had to tell you quick, when I married my wife, she was a flight attendant, and, that last year in AAA, my salary from baseball was $4,600.
Wow.
I still have my W-2. I saved it.
That's unbelievable. What do you remember about finally making it to the majors? What was your first game? What are some memories there?
My first game, when I got called up, was in Toronto, Kansas City at Toronto. And I started at second base, so Friday night. So I went second, first plate on Sunday, but a runner got on early in the game, and George Brett was over at third base, and all of a sudden I hear, "Hey John, how's my favorite second base umpire?" And I go, "I'm good." He didn't know he knew my name, but come to find out, George did that with everybody all the time. So he would come up to the plate and he'd say, "Hey John, how's my favorite plate umpire?" That was just he was a terrific guy. Is a terrific guy.
That's really interesting, because that's just another part of the gamesmanship for somebody like him, because you're obviously thinking about the other team, but being on a good side with the umpires is certainly important too, right?
It's better than not being, right?
So that's just one of the many cool stories you have, and you have all this great memorabilia, and it's going towards a great cause for your son and people who suffer from rare diseases. First off, when did you start collecting all of these things? Because it's one thing to work the game, it's another thing to start getting autographs here, getting seats from Fenway Park. How does that all get going?
You know, when you're at something long enough, it's never a mission. It's like I never set out to say, okay, I'm going to get something. The seats from Fenway Park, Joe Mooney was a longtime groundskeeper up there. And being from the Northeast, I said one time, and he would always, because back then there was no technology the way there is now. So any kind of a rain situation, he'd always be up in the umpire's room. And one time I said, hey, Joe, is there ever a chance they ever throw those seats away, or is there ever a chance of getting those? And the next year, the big truck was on its way to spring training in Florida, and the truck pulls up in front of my house, and the driver said, "There, these are for you." And he got out the seats and put. So the same thing with the president's autographs, and Anne Margaret. It's just things that just happened along the way. It's not like I really was an autograph getter or anything. It's just when you're around something for 34 years, things accumulated. And with my son Michael being on the field, players loved him, and he got a lot of things.
Yeah, why don't we talk about Michael? He had the opportunity to be around his dad and seeing his dad do such great things. What are some favorite memories? Meeting major league players, being in certain cities. When I think about that now with you, what stands out?
I think a very great story. It tells a lot about players. Michael was with me. Denise didn't come because I happened to be in Minnesota. We scheduled a checkup on Friday. So we did his checkup. So he was with me, and all excited that he was going to the games. And Sunday morning, I had the plate Sunday. Sunday morning, I'm in the shower and shaving and stuff. And I called out. I said, "Hey, Michael," and there was no response. So I kind of rushed out into the hotel room there, and he was having a grand mal seizure. And thank God it was early enough. I was able to get put him in bed, get him settled down, and finally good enough by 11:30 to get him to go downstairs and get in the limo and go to the ballpark. And when I got him in our room, I just made a bed on the floor with towels for him. And he was just out of it. After a grand mal seizure, you tend to sleep a lot, but I was afraid of him having another one. So I went down to work the plate, and somehow Jamie Moyer must have been walking. He wasn't pitching that day, and he was walking by and knew what was going on. He said, "Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on him during the game." So he did, stayed up there almost the whole game, and he would send word to Ken Griffey. When Ken came up to bat, he'd say, "Jamie's still up there and Michael's still sleeping, so everything's good." And then we just go about the game. Wow. So, yeah, I met people always want to say like, who are the bad guys? I said, you know what? I could count the guys who you would say were really kind of bad on less than one hand, but everyone was good. I mean, I was so fortunate. As I said, everything I have in life is because of baseball. From meeting my wife to living here in Ohio, and just I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to do that and be part of the baseball family for so many years.
And those profound stories are honestly the best ones, and those are better than the guys who were jerks or whatever. And especially too, because listen, you had a really tough situation with your son who was sick for such a long time, and a lot of parents struggle with that. So what is your word of advice to people who are going through that, whether their kid is sick, their parent is sick, what is most important in that fight for them?
Obviously a lot of love, and just take one day at a time. Just know that, in our case, people always say, well, how do you deal with the death of a child? And we had two sons that died. And I say, you come to a crossroad after, you have that mourning period. And then you say, okay, I'm not going to be the same person, or I'm going to, wallow in tears. Or you say, my wife needs me, my other kids need me, my family, my friends, and I'm going to go on, do the best I can, knowing that no day is ever going to be the same, but that's life.
And everything happens and it shapes us. And now you're somebody who can speak to that. And hopefully the money from this memorabilia can help people going forward. So when it comes to this mission, for all the memorabilia that's out there, what can people check out? How can people get involved? What's most important here?
Well, Collectible Exchange, Brandon Steiner, it's on their auction site. It's bidcx.com. They can also find out a lot about what we're doing in Northeast Ohio with the Magical Michael by going to our website, magicalmichael.com. And there's a link there to the auction. There's a link for donations, but more importantly, they can see pictures of the families and what we've been doing since 15 when Michael died in 14. And just what we've been doing. And we work closely with Akron Children's Hospital. We've given them over $250,000, excuse me, since this started. And it's been great. And Michael, if people don't realize, Michael's friends, after he passed away in 14, came to us and they said, we want to do something, to honor Michael's memory, and we want to do a golf outing. Well, that evolved into a big dinner fundraiser, and we started the Magical Michael. And our motto is, our mission statement is helping families face the curveballs of life. And we help children with disabilities, unfortunate children, inner city. We have programs, after school programs, the children with disabilities. We have done everything from build ramps to fixing bathrooms so that they can get in and out better. We've gotten electric wheelchairs, done all kind of things to help families. We have a special Christmas program where we buy for the entire families, just underprivileged and children with disabilities. And we've never turned anyone away yet.
That's really beautiful and amazing. And particularly in Northeast Ohio, I'm curious what else needs to happen to move things forward, because there's a concerted effort, there's money coming in, but what really leads to fundamental change, in your opinion, in order to make sure that we don't have any more bathroom issues, or kids have the proper amount of time after school, or kids are getting the proper medical care? What else needs to change, in your opinion?
Well, I think as a society, and we need to all step back and take a look, and it doesn't take that much out of your day or your life or even your week to say, how can I do something to help someone else out and make someone's life better? And that's what the Magical Michael's trying to do.
Well, John, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for jumping on. You had a great
My
career, you're
pleasure.
doing amazing work, and best of luck with everything going forward, okay?
Thanks, GJ. Appreciate it, buddy.